Hello and welcome to Life Made Easier podcast. My name is Lesley-Pazdzioch. It's a pleasure to have you here. Today I have a really special guest and I have just so enjoyed meeting him and really getting to know him over the past little while. But his name is Patrick Boyan and he is an incredible musician. He has actually, he's got an incredible story to share with everybody. And what I think is most beneficial with this is that he learned a very unique way to play instruments, and he actually plays many different instruments. But the technique that he really kind of self-discovered or self-taught or self-created, he now teaches to other people, and he's really given such a gift to the world, especially to those that struggled before. And as we all know, that music is a form of expression. It's something that was the way we expressed ourselves even before words were available to us. And I really would like you to just give him your full attention and listen to his story, because I think it's one that will inspire others and bring out that joy, that hope. If you've looked for some sort of self-expression or a way to communicate your feelings and you tried it with music and it didn't work, I want you to give this a shot, because I know for certain that he will hold the keys to your answers. So Patrick, it's nice to have you and thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for talking me up a little bit right there, man.
You're awesome. I'm telling you what, you've done some incredible things with what you've done. And not only did you do it with like one specific instrument, the approach that you took actually allows so many individuals with multiple different instruments, which I think is I just want you to share your story because I don't want to give any secrets away. So go ahead, tell us how you did this.
Well, we're getting there. It's so MuseFlow is an app that I created that teaches the way that I taught myself how to play piano. And here I am, a professional pianist in Los Angeles, and I thought that there might be a way to kind of port my method over into an app, and it's turning out to be really successful. People are loving it. But yeah, going all the way back, I started off getting private lessons and hating every minute of it. I took 8 years of private lessons.
In
Have you ever
piano.
taken, yeah, for piano? Yeah. Have you ever taken private lessons at all for piano or any instrument, honestly?
So my biggest passion since I was a little girl is to learn how to play the piano, and it's something. I mean, I'm going to be 58 next month, and I am still dedicated to learning to play the piano. However, I did, I do know the benefits of being able to play a musical instrument and your brain and the functions of your brain. It really adds a lot to our brain development and our thinking. So I put my girls into it, and I want when they were in school, and both of them played the violin. And my oldest daughter, she did by herself, but my youngest daughter, it was like grinding gears in a car, right? Without pushing in the clutch, and both of them gave it up. They never continued with it, and I was rather disappointed, but there's still hope. There's still hope. But no, personally, I am going to learn though. I should probably take your app.
Well, as if you're going to have a good time, that's the biggest thing, as long as, because what's the point of playing music if not to have a good time,
Right.
right? And to express yourself, I think it can be a wonderful vehicle, and it is literally called an instrument, which implies that it's being used as a form of expression, or there's some sort of use involved in it, right? Like we call surgical instruments the same, they're instruments to be able to do a task, right? But musical instruments are they're instruments to express oneself and to translate what's on the page into an auditory experience for people, or whatever's in your head into an auditory experience for an audience. Translate ideas or emotions. Yeah, I took 8 years of lessons, hated it, did not like it. It didn't work for me because I didn't really like the repetition that was necessary for it. It was fairly boring. I was playing really boring songs and not songs that I was interested in, and songs that my teacher told me that I needed to learn because it worked on this one specific skill, a new note or a new rhythm, something that I needed to learn, but I was learning it in songs. and it wasn't very creative. I was just repeating the same phrase over and over and over until perfection. And I got really bored with that. It wasn't engaging for me. And I didn't feel like I was learning anything really either. I felt like I was learning these songs, yes, but I wasn't learning the like fundamental skills that were needed to play the instrument.
Now, you
I was
came from a family your parents are play instruments, correct?
My mom and my dad both sing. They never really played instruments though theater and music, it's always been around. Both my parents were acting majors back in college. They met in college in the acting department. My mom had massive stage fright by the end of her journey as an acting major, and so she got a minor in news broadcasting, which brought her into being like a producer for news, and then eventually a true crime writer. She writes documentaries right now. And my dad was an actor, so he did that when he was raising us. He raised us during the day when my mom was working at news in the newsroom, and we went all over the city in Chicago. That's where I was born. I was raised in Chicago, all over the city, and just exploring all the creative endeavors that my dad really wanted to go deep dives into. And he was just such a wonderfully creative person, is still, of course. But then he brought us to his dinner theater at night, and he had us sit at the bar, drink our Shirley Temples, and watch the beginning of the show that there's so many different shows that he was in. But one of them was called The King's Manor, and he was the jester. Oh. And so we saw him up there on stage with all of his friends performing night after night. And then my mom came and picked us up, and when she was done with work, brought us back home and fed us dinner and put us to bed. And so that was my life for a very long time. I was a latchkey kid for most of the time in high school and junior high because both of my parents were either working or I was getting home way too late. My dad was already at the theater. And so, yeah, it was an interesting sort of journey, but nonetheless, theater, arts, music, culture, like that was always very much a part of our lives. Right. And so we had this old beat up upright piano in our living room that we got from a family friend who is an amazing pianist, Joe Krieger. He still plays in Chicago. He's got a couple of church gigs, and then he's got a piano bar that he plays at, and then he's got a jazz club that he plays at. So the guy's been gigging. He's been a mentor for me for a while since I started playing, but it was his piano that he had at his piano bar that we inherited. And it had all these like stains on the sides, I remember. It was just so beat up, right? And it had been banged on for, 5 or 6 years at that point. Just banged on every single night. Being played so thoroughly and so hearty. And when we got it, it sounded amazing. I loved it. It was a little tinny, a little like bright. And it just felt so good. So I really wanted to take lessons. And so I asked my parents when I was 8 if I could get private lessons. And they're like, Pat, it's a lifelong hobby, right? And I say, yeah, I know it's a lifelong hobby. I would love to do it. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, what? At 8 years old, what do I know about lifelong hobbies?
As much as an 8-year-old should.
Yeah.
I mean, a lifelong hobby is like 6 weeks of baseball or, mm-hmm. Your lifelong hobby is going to be like you registered for basketball and you did your 6-week thing of basketball, and that was a freaking long time, right? Especially if you suck at it, right? But I'm telling you, but I can see, those piano bars, we had one here in Colorado years ago. I would go and I loved it so much because they were so fun, right? You get to interact with them, and they just it's more of it puts music into such a fun atmosphere, and everybody has a great time, and you never know
singing
what's
along.
Gonna come up, right? It's not like
I
planned.
know.
It's like total improv, like the improv, and I love that. And I also really love the fact that you came from a theatrical family, because we had a country dinner playhouse here, and they closed it down. But I used to take my kids to that, and I loved it because I wanted them to really experience culture. And I wanted, with the music, because these are things that I didn't have when I was growing up. I don't even know. I know now where it came from, but that's a long story. But I never was exposed to any of that stuff. So people that grew up with it, like you, um, it fascinates me, and I just think, oh, that was so cool. But they were things that I always wanted. I always wanted to learn how to play the
Hmm.
piano. Um, I've always liked the theater. um, I just something inside of me, inside just took me in that direction. I don't know. I know what it is, but it's it's a spiritual thing, so we won't go there. But anyway, I think what you do is just amazing. I think
I
it's
think,
great. Your parents did
look,
really well.
culture, all it is storytelling at the end of the day.
Right.
That's what it is. You know, any type of music, any type of art piece, visual or otherwise, dance, theater, a painting, it's a story.
Right.
And as humans, we are so ingrained with the want and desire for story. It's how we literally perceive the world in such a linear way, right?
Right.
In such a plot like way. Character development, world building, and a plot, right?
Right.
That is our experience of reality. And so when we can tell myths and other stories through any sort of art form like a painting or a stage play or a movie, humans just gravitate towards that. So I of course I understand your want and desire for that sort of element of our lives, right? Culture. That's literally what culture is. It's a shared story that we tell ourselves and we collectively understand that together. And then there's all these other myths plopped in there and all these other morals and whatnot and aspects of that for sure. But that's what a culture is, a common story that we tell ourselves.
And I think
And
that's a lot of why people travel. I mean, we always want to go to different countries and travel and such to learn their country, to learn their culture, to learn more about them. And whenever I travel, I always say I want to go where the locals go. I don't want to do the touristy thing. I mean, yeah, some of it's fine, but I want to go where the locals go because that's where you learn the most, right? You have the most. I remember the most from the cultural experiences than I do from the tourist experiences, right? I
mm-hmm.
learned the most from them.
We're me and my wife are planning our honeymoon right now, and
Really?
yeah, we're gonna go to Europe for a month. We're gonna start up in Amsterdam and go all the way down to Greece, and then we're gonna spend a week on a sort of catamaran with her family. It's gonna be great. I'm super excited, but hey, I just got my Luxembourg citizenship. I'm now a dual citizen in America and Luxembourg.
Oh,
So I want, because we were able to trace our lineage back to Luxembourg on my mom's side. And so my uncle, when he retired, he just did the whole ancestry.com thing, found out, oh, we can actually get citizenship in Luxembourg because they have kind of an open door policy of anybody who emigrated, anybody from that lineage of
mm-hmm.
people who emigrated. And so, we're looking at all of these things to do in Europe, right? We're looking at all these different cultural things to experience. But one of the main things that I'm super stoked to do is go to Luxembourg. I've got a distant cousin who lives there. Her name is Lillian. I want to, and she was like, well, we have to go to this small little town in Luxembourg, off the beaten path, this small little town that your great, 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 great uncle Paul is from. And so like my family, my lineage lived in this small little town,
Oh,
right?
that's
And
awesome.
so like that lit me up because it's not about the touristy stuff, right? It's about
Right.
the stories that you can find and kind of mine and understand that everybody is so similar regardless of where you are. It's those
Exactly.
small little stories of the natives that you just really want to understand.
So, did you find that people in your history, in your genealogy, as you were doing this research, did you find them as well that they were into the music, they were into the theater, they were into these cultural um, expressions?
Not necessarily. I think they pop up on occasion. On my dad's side, they're all teachers. So I do have that predisposition in me.
This is probably why you're
Um,
teaching what you're teaching, what you learned. You probably had that. You're just a teacher.
what's interesting is I I don't teach through MuseFlow. I got the team together to create MuseFlow so that I could facilitate teaching other people in kind of en masse, not a one-on-one. It's democratizing music education instead of this sort of guarding it and making sure it's very private and protected. No, like I want to open the doors for music education. And the way to do that is to create a system that's engaging, very fun, and it taps into something that we call it's flow state. It's that groove that you get into where you just lose track of time and you want to continue doing it. Video games do that very well, right?
So
And
explain how this all works, because I think it's fascinating, because it's not you per se teaching this, it's an app. So explain how that works, because I think this is this is where you put your, let's say, your unique skills and talents into this beautiful thing so that people can learn at different ways.
well, let me tell you how I got there, right? So I took those 8 years of lessons, hated every second of it. And then my teacher retired and I was pretty burnt out. I did not learn pretty much anything. Like I learned these very specific songs and I learned how to read music, but I wasn't fluent in any possible way. And so I ended up taking a break because I was really burnt out. And then I went back to my parents' sheet music. They had a bunch of musical theater scores. And so I went back to the piano and I opened up a score and I just started playing that piece, whatever piece it was, verbatim. I was going note by note, just raw dogging it, just doing it. It's hard because it was very difficult compared to what I could play. And so I was just going note by note, trying to figure out the patterns and reading it and really trying to understand it. And then what happened was I found something that I really enjoyed playing. I found a little phrase, a little motif, just whether that's a pattern in my hands or a melody that I really loved. And then I just kept repeating that. This was very organic at the time. I didn't plan this, right? I just kept repeating that one little phrase. I closed the music and I just kept repeating that one phrase over and over. And then I started improvising around that phrase. I put it in different contexts. I put it in the left hand. I put it in the right hand. I inverted it. I played it backwards. I sped it up, slowed it down. I changed the pattern a little bit. I adjusted it. I did variations on it. And I just kept improvising around that phrase, really, really understanding it from the ground up and fleshing it out. And I was like, wow, that was really fun. And so I just kept doing that for years. I just kept finding little pieces, little nuggets that I really enjoyed and putting that in a multitude of musical contexts. Cut to college, I was the only acting major that could play piano. And so all these musical theater nerds were throwing music in front of me, being like, hey, I want to practice this for an audition. I would love to sing this song, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Let's try it out. Let's try it out. And so they put it in front of me and I start playing and they start singing. I continue to play and they continue to sing. I've never seen this piece of music before. And I was playing it. And I was like, whoa, okay. And so this kept going and they
But
finished
you
the song and they were,
hated playing it, the sheet music, and you didn't like it before, but now it just came to you, it started flowing.
and what I realized was I was doing that sort of improvisation around those little tiny bits, bite-sized pieces for years. All those bite-sized pieces, they show up in all these other different pieces. Music repeats. They are patterns that humans understand, right? That's how we kind of understand music, is these patterns that keep repeating. And these little nuggets, these bite-sized chunks, these building blocks, shall we call them, they showed up in other songs. So when I saw them in other songs, and because I had truly embodied the technique of playing that specific little motif over and over, just so embodied it because I'd put it in all these different contexts, I was able to play it flawlessly when I saw it in another piece. That's called sight reading, the ability to read music at first sight. I was able to do that. It blew my mind.
That's incredible.
And so I kept doing that for a bunch of musical theater people. I kept playing for auditions. Like the theater department hired me to play for auditions. I like for, musical auditions, people usually bring in an audition piece, something that they have perfected themselves, and they throw it in front of an accompanist, me, say, okay, I want to play this part. I want to sing it like this. Okay, great, go for it. And then I had to just play it, right? Never seen the song before. I had to just play it. That skill is very, very important for any gigging musician, is the ability to sight read.
But you
And so
kind of
that,
had to like read their body language and their you kind of had to
oh
have
yes,
I mean, it went beyond music because you, in order to do that, because you had to learn how to play for what that person was feeling, to know whether to go up, to go down, to go backwards, to go forward, speed up, to do what you learned to do with that, with those little pieces of music.
absolutely. And that sort of understanding of the emotion of music
Right.
only comes when you can technically play your instrument proficiently. You have the ability to forget about the technique and only focus on the beauty and the emotion of it all,
Right.
right? It becomes an instrument, exactly what I'm saying. It becomes a tool as a form of an expression tool, right? It becomes a tool for your own expression. And so here I was, accompanying these people, playing these songs pretty fairly accurately, and they were singing, and I had to follow them 100%. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't technically proficient at my instrument, right? So I move out to LA after college. I do the acting thing for 5 or 6 years. I get really burnt out with it. Too many breaks in between jobs. I'm not like the best actor, right? I just know that, like, ego aside, I just know I'm not like the best actor, right? And so only like the top 1% of actors are able to make a living off of it. And so I tried it for a little bit. I still act. I still have agents, but I got really burnt out with the grind of it all. And so my wife saw me really depressed, and she's like, "Pat, why don't you go play piano? You've been doing it your entire life." And so I do. And 3 months later, I was making a living off of it. I quit my day job, and I was a musician full time at that point. I still, of course, as I said, I still act. I still have my agents, but I don't do like the hustle of it all anymore. Only when a job comes to me is when I do it. I don't put myself out there like I used to, and so I love this balance. I really enjoy it. One day I was really bored. I was just sitting there, and I was like, maybe look, I'm a professional. If I could do it, and the way that I truly learned how to play was through that sort of iterative, bite-sized chunks, improvisation. That's how I really learned how to play piano. What if there was a way to kind of teach it that way? And then I did some research, and I found out 85% of people stop playing an instrument at the end of high school. And they cite either deep frustration with the process of learning the instrument or boredom with the process of learning the instrument. And I'm like, whoa, so the problem is actually the learning mechanism that we have.
Exactly. And I'll tell you something that I just thought of too. As you're speaking, when they get out of high school, my nephew took 5 years of Spanish. 5 years of Spanish in school, right? He went on a mission. My brother's LDS. I'm not. My brother's LDS, and his kids are raised in the LDS church, right? So they went on these missions. And do you know that he was so excited because he was going to a place in Mexico where they spoke Spanish? And he said, my 5 years of Spanish, I still didn't really get what they were saying. It took him a while to understand because of the way he was taught and the way
Yep.
he learned. So I think that that's another example of the school systems needing to perhaps really start paying attention to how people truly learn music, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that. That's that. Do it this way. Do it this way. And if you don't do it this way and you can't get it this way, then you fail. And it really, man, that could just it crushes people's self-esteem, their self-confidence, their self-worth,
Yep.
because they want this so much. Like, I know that my daughter really wanted to learn how to play the violin, but she couldn't learn it the way it was being taught. And so that's where I think that what you're doing is so, it's just amazing. I think you're going to catch those 85 people, those 85% of people, right?
Thanks. I mean, that's the goal. And we do have users that are using MuseFlow that it runs the gambit. It's kids that are using it with their teacher as simply a sight reading trainer, or people that have a really tough job. I've talked with a couple of users that have this story. It's wild to me, but they have completed the curriculum so far. We have Unit 1 out right now, which gets you 14 notes, polyphonic, which is 2 notes at a time, and 4 different rhythms, 3 different time signatures. So it's pretty tough to be able to sight read that type of music so far, right? But that's what we've got so far. We're building out Unit 2 right now as we speak, but we have like 3 people that have completed their curriculum so far. They've beat level 26. They've completed Unit 1, and they still play every day. And I'm like, I had to email them, right? And I was like, why do you play? Why? What are you getting out of this? And these 3 people say the same thing. I have a really tough job, and MuseFlow is my way of bridging the gap between work and being present with my family and coming home from a day's hard day's work. I sit in front of the keyboard and I play MuseFlow for about 30 minutes a day, and I just go. I just play and I drop into that flow state, and it gets me grounded. It gets me present. It lowers my heart rate. It's a meditative sort of experience for them. And then they're able to be present with their family. And otherwise they would be thinking about work the entire evening.
My brother owns his own company, and it's very stressful for him because there's like so many, like he's got like 4 different divisions of it, and there's so many missing, intricate pieces. And he, about, I want to say 4 years ago, started playing the violin. But he plays it for 30 minutes a day when he gets home from work, because it's his way of transitioning from his brain just being go, 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 and all these things, right? You have all these pieces.
Yeah, there you go.
He comes home, he plays his violin, and then for 30 minutes. But my brother like follows Darren Hardy too. He's like Darren Hardy's, massive intensity stuff. But he's like 30 minutes a day. I start at 6, I'm done at 6:30, or 5:30, I'm done by 6. And then he hired somebody to help him, like a teacher, because he was just kind of like, he said, Lesley, I don't know what it is, but I just can't give it up. I'm going to learn this. But it was shifting him. Now that you say that, I realized it was taking all of that, and it was almost like meditation for me, to where it was like bringing him back into a focus on one thing that calmed him at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's exactly.
And that is so helpful. You need, if you have a really stressful job, or if you just simply need to transition from one thing to the next, use a bridge like an instrument, like playing an instrument that will ground you, that will allow you to transition faster and easier, Yeah. And so I didn't really tell you how MuseFlow teaches, but MuseFlow teaches in a similar way to the way that I taught myself. I was using improvisation as kind of the engine of my curriculum. MuseFlow uses sight reading, the act of reading music at first sight, as the engine of its curriculum. So we can teach you how to read music in 7 minutes through an interactive tutorial. It's a video that you interact with. And we start you from, here's a piano. It can be 88 keys big. It can be 25 keys big. It depends on your keyboard, but this right here is middle C. Play that note right now. And you play it, and it lights up on screen, and it says, nice job. And then we move you on from there, right? So we can teach you what middle C is, where to place your hands, and how to read Western notation, which is what we use. That's how we write sheet music. It's called Western notation. We can do that in 7 minutes through this interactive video. And then we get you right on into your first level. And the first level is middle C. And it's 3 different rhythms: whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. And you're just going back and forth. You're using your thumbs to play those notes. Music shows up on screen. It never repeats. It is always new. It's always fresh. Phrases, 4-bar phrases show up on screen, and a cursor goes across the screen, and you have to play it in time. You have to do, and the metronome is counting off, boom, 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 and you play the notes as you see them. As the cursor goes across, music regenerates on the top line, the cursor goes back to that top line, goes down to the second line, regenerates until you get 4 phrases in a row at 95% accuracy at the goal tempo. That's our marker for you have successfully mastered that new skill, right? And then we move you on to the next level, which is adding D in your right hand. Now you've got 2 notes in both hands. Great. So then the next level is 3 notes. You add B in your left hand. Great. Now you've got 3 notes. And then at the end of that level, repertoire, songs get unlocked. Row, row, row your boat. You know, there's 3 or 4 other songs that get unlocked at level 3. And then same thing with level 4. We have 103 songs in MuseFlow right now. Each level unlocks anywhere between 3 to 5 songs at the end of each level.
So how is
and that's how you do it, you know?
How is this different though from the traditional? I mean, what's the I don't know anything about how to play music. I can't even read it, but what you're saying to me makes sense. But how is that different from the traditional ways that people are learning?
We're adding a step that is engaging, fun, and gratifying and effective before you get to songs. The way that we skipped this part in traditional lessons because we never really had a way of filling this gap. We've never had a way to be able to fill this gap because how are you going to give music that never repeats, that is constantly changing and adapting and to how you're playing? How are you going to adjust music dynamically when it's written on a page? You can't do it. So we've never had the ability to teach the fundamental skills that are necessary to play those songs outside the context of songs until now. You know, we're using this adaptive curriculum that strings these phrases together that organically adjusts. And later down the road, we're going to get even more personalized. We're going to be able to find patterns in your playing and then once we recognize that you're having a problem with a specific interval, we're going to give you phrases of music that exercise that interval more than other skills. So that through exposure therapy, you're going to increase your proficiency on that interval. And then we'll kind of taper that back a little bit so that it's at parity with everything else, right? And so that's what we're working towards. We're working towards this deep personalization of the music, dynamically adjusting it based on how you're playing to attack and to work errors and issues that you personally are having, right? It's all going to happen on the back end. You're probably not even going to notice it. We'll dynamically adjust the tempo. We're building that feature right now. If you're playing very low, like you're playing at a lower accuracy, say 75% or below, we're going to lower the tempo for you so that it's at a slower beat per minute, right? The gold tempo right now is 72 beats per minute. We'd bring it down to 62 beats per minute. And then once you play 95% accuracy at 62 beats per minute, we're going to raise it up 5 beats per minute. So it'll be at 67 beats per minute? And then it'll go back up to 72 beats per minute. And so
it automatically detects this.
Yeah, it'll automatically, and we're about to release this feature. It's going to be maybe about a month out right now. So that's going to be another level of personalization right now, right? And so, all of this, again, we've never been able to do this before without the advent of technology. And so now, because of this technology, we're able to dynamically adjust the sheet music based on how you're playing and give you music you've never seen before. The idea of teaching through sight reading is a very novel idea. People think sight reading is just a part of the curriculum for music education, whereas we're putting it as the fundamental skill that is the engine of our curriculum. And so once you get to a certain level of proficiency and a song gets unlocked at exactly that proficiency, might be a little bit outside of your comfort zone, you can then go play that song at a much higher accuracy level. And then you'll be able to perfect that song very, very, very quickly.
And
so that you can get to the
confidence, building self-esteem,
all of it.
Value to yourself, giving you that place to have a hobby. It's meeting your level of being able to calm down. It's just music just has so much power. There's so much power. It's like, oh, you're sick, here, music will help you. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
you play music to your garden, it grows better. There's a statistic out. If you play, I think it's classical music to your garden grows better. Have you
Hmm.
heard of that state? Have you
Yeah.
heard that? I,
Yeah. It
Patrick, I
makes sense
think
to me.
you're just, I think you have created something that it's going to take the world by storm because you meet so many needs, not just the needs of kids wanting to learn how to play an instrument, but you're meeting these needs of people that are just so big. Like there's so many things that music does, and you're like, hey, we can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Let me show you how to do that. You're great. You're just really pumping people up in such a. I'm telling you, it's to me. I think it should be in every school. I think it should be in
Thanks.
every school. I think it should be in. I think it should be everywhere. I think it should be
We agree.
everywhere.
We think that this is a paradigm changing methodology. We're revolutionizing music education from the ground up with something like this. And if we can get this personalized with music education, what do you think about this type of reinventing of the education system in all the different classes,
Right,
history, math? What if we were
right,
able to teach math in this very personalized, flow state, iterative, skill building sort of way? I think that the application of flow state and iterative bite-sized learning, it's called just-in-time learning, where you like learn the concept and then immediately apply it. That's called just-in-time learning. And then you'll learn the theory after that,
right.
right? Learn why you're doing what you're doing afterwards. But we need that immediate application of the skill before we learn the theory so that we can colonize our brains with that theory and we have an anchor for it, right? Otherwise, the theory is just theory. It's just a little amorphous understanding of a concept with nothing to anchor it in our minds.
Right, and that's
We
where
need,
I have a hard time, and I think that's a lot where ADHD comes into play
yeah.
because people can't focus on something that their minds are not interested in, they're not grasping at all, and that's why they say, oh, ADD and ADHD and all this stuff. I was diagnosed with it after God hit the reset button on my life because my brain wasn't functioning, and music was part of what helped me heal, right? But it was
Mm,
listening to music, and it helped me connect my thoughts and what was going on out here to what I was feeling in here. Music helped me a lot with that, and I've never shared that with anybody but you at this very moment. So that's really quite interesting that I shared that I got that personal. But music helped me heal from my mental and emotional meltdown to where I became 5 years old. And if I wouldn't have had music, it had a profound impact on what I was listening to and what I was feeling because I couldn't think my way through things because my right side would talk to my right side, my left side talked to my left side, but my brain wasn't like going crossways communicating, right? But I was learning what my body was telling me. I had to follow everything that my physical body was telling me. So certain music would bring certain feelings. And so I would listen to different music. Patrick, I've never shared this with anybody. I think God is just saying, Lesley, share your story. And I'm sharing my story, but I would listen to different music and I would pay attention to what that felt like, right? And I would write it down. The one that got me, I can't listen to that acid rock stuff. I couldn't listen to that because of the words that they used. And it just really, it brought feelings to me of just I hated it, right? Country music I loved. I loved the 80s music. That stuff will never go out of style for anyone ever. It better not. I loved classical music. But that's how I learned how to feel again, was through music. The large part of it was through music.
that's so cool.
That it's something that it's so therapeutic. Music is so therapeutic. Um, yeah, I can't believe I just let that out. That just kind of
Well, I love it. I think that is it's a beautiful story. And
it was
music is one of those things that it occupies both left and right brain.
right.
You need the emotional understanding of your right side with the storytelling and logic side of your left side, it satisfies both.
Right.
And so that it makes a lot of sense that if your brain wasn't talking to each other, if your brains weren't talking to each other, then yeah, music was the bridge
It
that
was
is
the
able,
bridge.
that allows for the connection.
Right. Because
It
otherwise,
makes a lot of sense.
I don't think it would have worked. I Patrick, I'm going to be really honest with you here and very, very, very vulnerable. I know for certain that if it weren't for music helping me put the brain body connection together, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would not be where I am today because I couldn't pay attention. I couldn't see what was out there. My brain, I lost a lot of memory and a lot of ability to think, but because I put these two together, I thought and I could feel and I felt something. I was like, what is that? And then I had to think about, well, what does this feel like? What is this, and if it was bubbly, then I would think, oh, and I had to start putting emotions to things. And I realized that emotions aren't just like happy, sad, blah, 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 the basics, right? There's like way different. I mean, I had these pages where I'd write emotions down and I would go through it and I'd say, ooh, this is good. Well, this is close. Well, this fits better, right? I had to like learn those feelings mentally. I had to pay attention to my body, my brain. So that is something that I think is very important for you to know. I think because this will be something that you can implement into your production or your creations to help people that were like me, right? Because I was never supposed to live through what I went through. I wasn't ever supposed to live. They said if I did live, that I would be hospitalized or I would have to have 24-hour care, that I would never be able to function on my own again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was something else. But I mean, this isn't about me. This story isn't about me. But this time, I'm going to share it with you because for some reason I need to. But I melted down to where I was 5 and I was 40. I was 40. I couldn't think and feel. I couldn't remember a lot of stuff. I'd go get my mail from my mailbox and I'd bring it home and I'd throw it in this basket because I didn't know what to do with it. I realized I had to go get it because I saw my neighbors get theirs, right? So I started following and doing what other people did and then figuring out, well, what was that? Like I would pay attention to what people were doing. Yeah. But music helped me put this connection together. Yeah, it was,
Yeah,
and it
wow.
was really interesting to me. But I would listen to a lot of Christian music, Casting Crowns. I don't know if you're familiar with Christian music.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah.
But I listened to Casting Crowns a lot, and I would never listen to music that was sad. I didn't ever listen to sad music, or I learned what anxiety felt like again because of just that grinding music, that rock, guitar, you know what I mean? That stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't even think of a band. But I love Styx. I liked listening to Journey. I liked AC/DC. Some of their songs, right? It would that was huge. Bon Jovi. I mean, all of them from back in the day. When we had like the coolest cars and the greatest clothes. I mean, you could actually look in your engine and see the ground. I mean, I swear we had the coolest stuff ever. That's why people these days like copy our music. Our cars are still around. We had the coolest hair and like the greatest clothes, shoulder pads, right? I'm just kidding.
I love it.
I think
Yeah.
we had like, I grew up in the 80s. I think that was just the best. It was the legendary time. I just think it was awesome.
A
Anyway.
legendary time. Legendary.
Legendary.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for sharing, because
You're welcome.
I love
You needed to know.
vulnerability. I love vulnerability, and I love when people can share such deep, intimate thoughts. And so, thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for listening.
Of course.
And like I said before this interview, I said I don't want to plan anything because I think it sucks. we're just going to let it flow. And
Right.
I just let it flow, and I shared this with you, and it felt good because I think that it's
Yeah.
going to inspire people that are, sometimes we go through things in life where we shut down emotionally and we just start going, we just live our life in repetition, right? We just get in these patterns, and there's no joy, right? We don't feel
Hmm.
that joy. But if it we have to be able to feel, right? We have to be able to feel, because feeling is how we grow our soul. It's how we grow as people. It's how we grow our soul. It's our connection. If we don't have those, if we don't understand what we're feeling, one of the things that I learned is you have to feel so that you can follow your inner guidance, right? Your divine
Hmm.
guidance. We all have this gift of divine guidance, but if you can't feel, and you can't feel authentically, you're not going to be able to follow what they're trying to tell you. You won't be able to follow your intuition. You won't. It's just not there.
Yeah.
So
We
I
are such
think that's
emotional
important.
creatures.
Mm-hmm.
We're such emotional creatures. And you can't deny it. Like I think some people try to they think feelings are bad, or they think feelings are like non-masculine. I know a lot of men that think feelings are inherently feminine. And I disagree fully.
Then they're going to
It's
get
no
eaten by the tiger,
regardless.
right? If they were back in the beginning of time, if they didn't pay attention to their feelings, that's your intuition. If you don't pay attention to
Yeah.
that shit, you're not going to survive, my friend. Thank God we're not be chased by tigers. That's why I tell your friend, I don't want to feel. Well, then help to God, you don't ever have to pay attention to your intuition, because if there's a tiger chasing you, you're not going to know what the hell to do.
Well, even still, I think that we can port the tiger chasing you over we can port that into a modern day scenario
Right.
of, I think social alienation is a similar analogy to death. I think as humans, we have such a need to be a part of a community. We have such a desire to be a part of the group, the whole,
Right.
that if somebody says to you, we don't like you, or we don't want you around anymore, that is similar. That is analogous to death, because if you are ousted from a community and you're a caveman, you're going to die.
Right.
It's as simple as that. We need community. We need society to keep us alive. And so you can say running from a tiger, being eaten by a tiger, it's the same thing in a way. We have the fight or flight or freeze emotion, the reaction to social situations or to public speaking or to performance.
Right.
Some people hate public speaking, and they can't stand it, and they get so nervous because they're afraid that people are not going to like them. And that experience is the same reaction, the same experience that we had when we were being chased by a tiger. It's the same,
Right. Take what you just said, right? And then I want to look at narcissism. That is where I think a lot of this narcissism comes in, because they're trying to control, narcissists try to control everything on the outside of them, right? And if you really think, and I get that, and perfectionism, right? People that are
Mm.
just trying to be perfect. I did a podcast, or I did a little live thing this morning, a little video about this, about narcissism and perfectionism. And you know what? Those, and just like you're saying, that these people don't want to feel. Well, guess what? Your feeling is your path to healing. And if you are ostracized from an environment, and you're saying, oh my God, now I'm shame, blame, and all this other stuff within you, that's where these false beliefs come into play, and they start layering up. And it's because you don't know who you are. You have to know who you are and why you're here. In order to understand what's going on in here, you need to figure out who you are, right? You need to decide who you are. And people are like, well, I don't know, I'm going to try this and try that. You got to feel it. And that was my key with music. I had to understand what the hell I was feeling and put a thought to it, right? I'm feeling this way, and I had to think, oh, this is bringing me pleasure, or I'm enjoying this, or I don't like this, or what he said wasn't true. But I'll tell you what, when you start doing that and you start paying attention, when I start paying attention to my body, somebody lies to me now, I can tell. If somebody cheats me, I can tell. My intuition is as sharp as a freaking tack. I always think it's like a samurai sword, and it's just paving my way through life. Man, I'm telling you what, you do that, and if you live that inner truth of your morals, your values, your ethics, you really get this right. The world is your freaking oyster. I'm serious. It is not always. I mean, there are those occasions where you don't, but there was something else going on that you needed to learn, right? But I'm telling you what, I, I would not trade this and not feeling for anything, for anything.
Music performance is music listening helps with that, but
Music's
music
key.
performance is also a wonderful way to explore your own emotions as well, or the expression of emotions, right? Because that's all music is the language of emotion. It's auditory sounds we put together and we codify and we put emotional stakes to it. You know, you hear a minor chord in a certain circumstance, it's going to sound sad. But crazy enough, you hear a minor chord in a different circumstance, it might sound happy. It depends on context. And so I think there's a level of being able to express yourself in an instrument that you need to be able to get to a certain level of proficiency, technical proficiency of mastering your instrument. And then you can start, when you get a song that is at your level and you've perfected it, you can start asking yourself, well, how do I want to play this? What emotions does this bring to me? And how do I want to express those through this piece of music? And there's so many levers you can pull. There's dynamics, which is crescendo or decrescendo, getting softer or getting louder. You know, there's articulation. Do you want to play this long? Boo. Or do you want to play it short? Boo. It's up to you.
Right.
Sometimes the music will define that, but other times it's your call. And you as the musician, you as the interpreter of that song need to be able to make decisions on that piece of what emotions do I want to bring here and how do I want to play that. That's called musicianship. And it's the reason why I love playing. When I'm in a piano bar, when I'm at my piano bar, right? And I'm there singing and playing for hundreds of people and they're all around singing Don't Stop Believing
You
or
work in a
whatever.
piano
Right?
bar?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, see now I'm gonna have to come to California. We're on the beach
Please
and
come to LA.
I'm gonna come to LA. I'm gonna go to that piano bar because I think they're this the greatest. The theater. I love performing arts and the theater is great, but I'm gonna have to come. You're gonna have to give me
What
that information. Tell us all
I will,
now
yeah.
live. You're in LA, which is a piano bar. What's the name of it?
It's called Tramp Stamp Grannies. That's the name of it. It's a very specific place. It's for musical theater nerds, Disney nerds. It's for millennial pop rock stuff. A lot of people that come on it, they call the theme generally is upscale debauchery. And so it's a very specific place where like a lot of nerds can feel at home. It's a very queer centric space. It's very open and honest, and people love it because it's so inviting, right? And they can feel at home there. A lot of millennials, younger people, but we also get a lot of older people that are retired that come on in there that just love musical theater, or they want to bring in that sort of 80s vibe. And so we'll play Journey, we'll play Styx, we'll do all of those classics, right?
All right,
Do a
here's
bunch of
the deal,
ABBA.
Patrick. We're not old. We're not old people that bring in the sticks. Maybe I'm
It's not,
digressed.
I love the 80s. I think the 80s has some of the best music out there.
Yes.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that for sure.
Yeah.
And so I think and what's really cool is like you can see the moments where these connections happen, right?
Yeah.
It's an all request show. So people request whatever they want and I've got to play it. And I have about 2,000 songs in my repertoire. I know about 2,000 songs, but when somebody throws a song at me that I kind of know, but I don't really like know it, I'll pull up the sheet music on my iPad and I'll sight read it. I'll play it for them. What's great is that relationship between the audience member and me, they're helping guide the song as much as I am playing it because they know it. They're requesting it. And so they're singing along to it, and I'm able to kind of follow them a little bit, and they're able to follow me when I know that something is different than they're singing. Like I see it on the sheet music, I can read it, and then I sing it to them or whatever, right?
It's like
Maybe
dancing.
it's dancing. It's like this movement back and forth,
Right.
this emotional exchange, right? The beauty of this is you can see these emotional connections that are happening. I get to infect this room with joy and love or sadness. You know, a song can be so many different things. It depends on the song. It depends on the moment of the song, you know, that when you see an audience member singing along and tears are kind of streaming down their face because either they're enjoying it so freaking much and they're expressing themselves so insanely much, and they haven't had the opportunity to express themselves like this in an environment with a bunch of people before. It's a beautiful thing.
I bet.
And I think there is that the ability to express yourself is so key to music. And that is the most visceral thing when it comes to music performance and music listening, is that emotion.
I see a lot of people, you know, we watch movies and we see certain things like what was it, The Pretty Woman, where he's playing the piano. He goes into that back room by the bar, and he's playing the piano because it's helping him, you know, emotionally, like find his balance or express himself. So tell me, what do you do? I mean, how, you can play many different instruments. So do you have like your favorite instrument to, like, if you're mad, do you play the drums or pound on the piano, or is the piano more to calm you, you know, when you're in a calm state and you want to express that? I mean, does that have a play for you? Because I mean, obviously, first tell the audience, because this is amazing, how many different instruments you can play.
Oh God, I think I could play like 11. Um, let's name them: piano, voice, singing, piano, singing, mandolin, guitar. I play the cajon, which is like it's a type of drum. Um, I play upright bass, tuba, clarinet. Um, that might be it actually. So it's only 7 or 8. It's 8. Let me think. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah,
That's
and
incredible.
a lot of them had to. A lot of I like some of them I just like had to learn, right? Um, for example, upright bass. I was the music director of this show that I ended up playing in the pit for, and they needed an upright bassist, and so I was like, okay, cool, I'll learn. You know, they had the bass. It was great. The theater had the bass, and so I was able to just like pick it up and practice it and learn it and play it. I was able to read music. You know, I'm able to read music, and so I figured out what the notes are. It's weird because it's a non-fretted instrument, so it's not like an acoustic guitar where the tuning is perfect. No, you have to, like, you can slide up and down that neck, and the tuning is it's you can figure out the tuning yourself. You have to kind of have a really good ear for that and a really good sort of muscle memory of like where these notes are on the fretboard, right? And so I learned it, and it was really fun. And the bowing of everything, I had to look up a bunch of YouTube videos on how to bow properly. The plucking was really great. That was really fun. A nice little bass line, boom, 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 right? Um, yeah. So I don't know why or how I'm able to play so many instruments. It just like kind of organically just happened. I needed to learn how to play acoustic guitar for another show that I was in, right? Oh, harmonica. So that's 9, right? I played in this folk musical in New York Fringe Festival. We developed it and put it up in Chicago, and then we brought it to New York, right, for a little bit. And so that one, I helped arrange the music, and I played keys, I played keyboard for that, and acoustic guitar and harmonica, and I sang backup vocals. And so, yeah, like it just kind of like happens sometimes where you're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll learn how to play harmonica for that show. You know, it's a folk musical. I don't have to play it like so freaking prolifically. I just have to kind of blow into it and find the right notes that make sense and repeat those same things over and over. And so, fairly easy in a way for me. Yeah.
Well, I think that honestly, what intuitive, I just think, you know what, Patrick, you can play that many instruments because you learned, because of the unique way that you learned, or that you decided to teach yourself. how to learn to play that in a different way. You know what I mean? Because you know how to play music in a way of tunes, right? Of pieces of up and down and backwards and sideways. You understand that. That opened up your mind because now you're linear, you're thinking on a broader perspective than a more narrow perspective. Therefore, it allows you um, more space and more, what is the word? You know what I'm saying? Help me out here.
Like
Um,
a deeper capacity to be able to learn
exactly.
these instruments. I do think that like my ability to be able to sight read and my understanding of Western notation, how thorough it is, how that's kind of like the foundation of me being able to play music. Yeah,
But
I
this
do
is
think that my ability to read music is very key to my ability to be able to play music. Yeah.
and this again is something else that you're teaching with Museful because you're teaching people how to read music. And if people go through in your program, they can also, I mean, it gives them the ability to perhaps apply and learn multiple instruments like you did. I mean, I think that's phenomenal.
I
I
mean,
think it can't be a skill just to you unique. I think that your ability to play that many has a lot to do with the way you learned and the way you're teaching.
yeah. The more I think about it, it might be.
It has to be.
I never really thought about it like that. I just thought maybe my predisposition to music and understanding how it's made and how to play it and how to use instruments as a personal way to express myself. I always thought like that might be the reason why. Or I also was just like it's circumstance too. I had to learn how to play tuba because in high school there were too many clarinetists and I'm 6'2", and my band teacher was like, hey man, we only have one sousaphonist. A sousaphone is a type of tuba. It wraps around you and the horn is up here above your head. And so it's used for marching band. And so my band teacher was like, we only have one sousaphonist and we have 20 something clarinetists. You and my friend Matt were both 6'2", and you need a kind of bigger guy to be able to hold a sousaphone. There's a lot of women that play sousaphone, and they're beasts. They're amazing, right? But we were the easier ones to be able to play, and we also had kind of an interest. And so he asked if we wanted to learn one summer, and so we did, you know? And so I played sousaphone for a semester in high school, right? And I can pick up a tuba now and be able to play it. I can do that still. And so it's all I just thought it was circumstance, but I think my predisposition to being a multi-instrumentalist very well may have come from my teaching methodologies.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that,
um,
in fact, I can tell you, I mean, logically, I mean, there's no, it makes sense, right? It makes sense because
hmm.
if you can if it just, yeah, I think that I think you should noodle on that one for a little while.
I'll noodle on that one.
You
Yeah.
noodle on that one. Give
Speaking
it
of
your old
noodling,
college try.
yeah. I would love to give your audience a coupon code for MuseFlow if they're
I
interested.
think that's great. I think that they need it, and also we need to know how to get a hold of you. I've got some of the information for your social media and such, but give however you want to, presents your stuff. But we also need the written down where you piano bar because
Oh yeah, sure.
we need that too.
I mean, no need to publicize it.
Oh,
It's
come
a
on,
great spot. It's called Tramp Stamp Grannies. I'll send you a link to the website.
great.
Um, and let's call the coupon code easier50. Okay, EASIER 50.
Okay,
And that'll get anybody who uses it 50% off for life. Okay. I loved chatting with you, Leslie, and I hope we keep this relationship going because you're great. And so anybody who uses that coupon code will get 50% off for life. Any the monthly, the 3-month, or the annual subscriptions. We've got all 3 of those. Just pick one of them, and either at the start of your free trial, there's going to be a little thing that says coupon code ? Click that, type in easier50. It'll be applied to your account. Or at the end of checkout, at the end of the 7-day free trial, the paywall will show up. You click on a subscription, whichever one you want, and there'll be a little coupon code that you can put on in there too.
That's great.
It'll just say coupon code ? Place it in there before you click on the subscription that you want, and it'll adjust the prices for you. So yeah, 50% off for life. Look, we are still very much in the early stages of building this company. We're scaling it right now. It's out there in the world. The app is useful. You can use it. We've got the curriculum, the sight reading trainer, and then repertoire for Unit 1. But we have so many more features to come. So, we've got about 50 people that are using this app and paying for it.
Now, is there a certain age limit? Because I'm just thinking, my grandson's going to be 10 in August. He's incredibly smart, very, very talented. But his grandmother, I'm the nana, because I'm not going to be called grandma because I don't look like one. That's this.
No,
so
you're Nana.
I'm Nana. And so he tells Nana that he got this. He has like a little keyboard. It's an electric keyboard that he sits at that his grandmother gave him. So, and he's going to be 10. Could he play that? Could he?
Yes, he could. I started lessons when I was 8. I know that some people start earlier than that, but we kind of think that the hand, literally your hand, is not big enough before 8 years old. So I don't want to put a limit on it. I don't want to say people below 8 years old can not, like they're not able to play it, right? It's just, I think that right around 8 is when your hand is just simply large enough to be able to reach certain notes and certain lengths. So yeah, I would say probably around 8. But no, like the upper limit it runs the gamut. We have people that are 8 years old that are using this with their teacher. We have people who are retired that are using this for fun.
So 8 to 180?
8 to 180. You know what? 181.
Oh, I'm going to put that down.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that, 8 to 181. I'm going to put that. That's going to be your social media post.
Yeah, great.
I'm going to put that on there. If you're 8 to 181, you're on our government Social Security.
Right.
If you're collecting Social Security, even if you're 381, I'm just kidding.
300,881.
Right,
Right. Yeah. Just go to our website. You can start your free trial from there. It's a web app right now. Which means you have to use the browser to get into it. We've written it in a game engine called React, and then that's porting over into what is called React Native, which means that we're going to be able to make an app. We are currently making the app, the downloadable app for Apple and Android. Those will be in the store, your Google store, your Apple store. Those will be in it probably in the next 3 to 4 months.
And then one of the things I wanted to ask you is, do you specify one certain instrument, or can anybody use it with any instrument?
So right now you have to have a MIDI compatible keyboard. It's only for piano right now.
Okay.
But we are going to be making it for all common instruments later down the road. The way we're building it allows us to kind of port over the engine of the game itself into other instruments. So all we need to do is just write the curriculum for those instruments and write the music for it, and then it'll be available for all these other instruments too. That also makes us right now you have to have a laptop and a MIDI compatible keyboard to use MuseFlow. Those technical limitations are there because that was the easiest way for us to build it and get it out there. So we're making an audio recognition algorithm. It's really, really good. We're just fine tuning it. And then it's going to be a part of the app where instead of you having to jack in your keyboard, you can set your device on your piano and it will listen to you.
Oh, that's
and it'll give you, we use an error recognition schema that green notes are good, are correct. Yellow notes are a duration error. So maybe you got the note correct, but you didn't hold it long enough. And then red is just, you got it completely wrong. right? So error recognition is going to be associated with the auditory instead of through MIDI, right? So yeah, that'll also be out in about, I would say like 2 to 3 months. So all these things are coming down the pipeline. We've also got Unit 2 coming down. We've got the exercise section where you can do deeper dives into concepts or exercises that you're more interested in. We've got the auto tempo adjustment. We've got complexity adjustment coming down the road. We've got pattern recognition. We've got a looping feature for repertoire, so where you can highlight a certain phrase and it'll loop it. And you can play it over and over and over as many times as you want. We've also got this sort of automation that we're going to be incorporating where that looping phrase, you've got to play it 3 times in a row perfectly, and then it'll move to another section, the next section of that piece, and then it'll loop that, and then you have to get that 3 times perfectly, and then you put them all together. So we're kind of automating the practice of songs, right? All of that is coming down the pipeline. So if you want to use this code, you're going to be getting on the ground floor. It's not going to be active forever. It's going to be, we're probably going to have to discontinue it in the next maybe 6 months to the next year.
The coupon?
Yeah, it'll still be active for the people that redeem it, that actually use it. But we can't accept new users because on that code, because we just, it won't be early adopters at that time. You know, we've got 50 people that are using this. We're barely making our overhead when it comes to server costs and all the subscriptions that we use to run this business, right? So we're barely making our overhead right now. We're not paying ourselves just yet. But when it gets to the point where this business is running and the app is now generating income for us, we're probably going to not accept new users for that discount code. So
this would be like a founder's entryway. Like this, we're founding this company, and you're going to get in on the ground level, and you're going to have, you know, because we're new and we want this, like the founding.
Early adopters is what we call it.
Okay.
Yeah. People that adopt the product at a very early stage. And you know what's really cool is, like, if you want to suggest features to us, please email me, or email info@museflow.ai. Like, you please, let's not put that in the show notes, because I bet you anything like something's going to scrub podcasts and find emails and then just like spam them. Right. So like, but you'll be able to find it on the website. Email us. Like, you start using the app and you really want something, please let us know. We have people that are suggesting features to us, and we're building them. That flywheel is going. Our early adopters into suggestions, into feature development, like that's happening. Right. So we have an engineer devoted to that right now.
They're helping you build the best for everybody, because it takes everybody. I mean, you know what you know, but then that's how society is supposed to actually function, right? We're here to help each other grow, and this is other people's way to help you grow, so that you can create the best and the most advantageous functioning product, so that it serves the world. That's why we're, and
it serves you, like it serves you, the customer. Right. We want to make a product that you want to use, right? So for example, like we have a colorblind user right now, our first colorblind user, and he's red-green colorblind. And so we, as the co-founding team, we never even thought, just didn't even think about that accessibility feature that we would need for red-green colorblind, because we use red and green colors in our error recognition. And we just never thought about that. And so he was like, hey, I really love your app. I really want to sign up, but I need a red-green colorblind toggle. You need to change the colors so that I can see my errors correctly. And I was like, oh, brilliant. We built it in a week. And he signed up.
That's awesome.
So you're like, that whole thing, it's happening. You know, tell us what you want. We will absolutely put it in the queue to either consider it or literally build it. What's really cool is that most people have been suggesting features. We've already thought about them.
Good.
and it's already in the docket. Like it's already being planned on build. So
Well, I think it's going to be
being
a
built.
fast-growing thing, fast-growing application because of the fact too, Patrick, that you know so many different instruments that you can just already, once you get the foundations of this going, you just get to like plug in what you know about other instruments, and I think that once the foundation's there, you're just going to be able to skyrocket. I mean, it's just going to take off like crazy.
That's
Here's
the
my
goal. I mean, we're building it.
suggestion. While they're on section 2, you need to start doing section 1 for all those other little instruments that you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You should start doing
I
that.
couldn't agree more. We need the audio recognition algorithm to be live and accurate before we build it out for all common instruments. But that is the next step. Once we get that live, we're going to actually start talking about, okay, what's the next one? And I think the next one is going to be drums, because it's kind of the easiest one to do, because pitch isn't involved in drumming. You've got the cymbal. I mean, pitch is involved. Like your drums can be tuned to certain pitches, right? But generally, all we would need to do is capture a snare drum, capture a cymbal, capture a kick drum, and then understand that, like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to write the music to be able to teach those in sequence, of course. But at the end of the day, it's pretty much just rhythm.
Right.
And so it's kind of the easier one to do when it comes to audio recognition. It's easier to do than sort of any pitched instrument like a clarinet or a guitar, right?
Yeah, I was going to say guitar, and then when you said drums, I'm like, yeah, that makes a little more sense. Drums, because you're right, it's about rhythm. My uncle played the drums. I think that, I swear, just about everybody I dated when I was young played the drums, but that's what we did in the 80s, back in the day. Those old people. We just played the
old people. I'm so sorry that I
don't even care.
I didn't mean to call you old.
I know, I'm old.
You're not.
I remember looking at people, like I look at myself, I think, I'm not 58. I'm not going to be 58.
You're not.
But I look at people that are that age, and I think, when I was younger, I thought, oh my God, I just don't know if I'm going to live that long.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And now I think, oh my gosh, 90. I could live to 90. There's a guy on that does health stuff. His name's Gary. I can't remember his last name. But he was saying, if people live, because of the changes that they're making, if people live through the next 5 years of all the changes that are happening in the food system, that people have the chance to live, that like my grandchildren will more than likely live to 144.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he said our food system kills us. Our food system kills us. They're taking out, a lot of these food dyes. They're taking out a lot of the additives and preservatives. Most of the shit that we eat in America, you can't give to another country. They won't even let it cross their borders. Like you can
it's pretty scary, isn't it?
You get fat. You go to Italy, you can eat all the bread you want. Pasta, right? If I look at pasta here, I get inflammation. Yeah, it's crazy.
I know, it's pretty scary. I hope that we can kind of fix that. That's just so scary to me.
They're fixing it now.
That's good.
JFK
good.
Jr. He's banning a lot of this stuff. So, when you go to Europe, when you do your thing, take an extra suitcase with you, and when you come back, stuff it with pasta.
That'd be so good,
right? Just stuff it with their pasta. You can make the sauce from here.
Sure.
But stuff that thing with pasta, and don't forget the wine.
Don't forget the wine.
Don't forget the wine. I mean, any time is wine time, right? You're gonna have fun. Did you just get married? You got married a while ago, and you guys kind of put this off because you knew it was gonna be a big trip, right?
Yeah. We wanted to do this trip before we got married. We were like, we knew we wanted to do our honeymoon, like a full blown month in Europe, right? We've been putting it off. We got married March, April, May, June. Yeah, May 23rd of last year. So our 1 year anniversary is coming up.
My birthday's the 17th.
So happy soon to be birthday.
I know, I'm going to be an old woman.
No, you're not, Lesley.
I know. I don't even care. I tell people when they card me for at the store for like alcohol or whatever. I said that's when dirt was invented. You know, that's when they discovered dirt, and they just
Dirt.
laugh at me. That's when they discovered dirt. They just kids don't even think I'm funny, but I think I'm hilarious.
I think you're funny. But hey, I'm not a kid. I ain't a kid.
Oh, Patrick,
35.
you might be what, 30?
I'm 35. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a wonderful life ahead of you. You have such great stuff ahead of you.
So do you, Lesley.
I know. I'm gonna have fun.
So do you. Okay.
No. I know. I told God. God said, "Leslie, I want you to live to like 97 or 98." I said, "Okay." Okay. I bet but if you don't live that long, you better take care of your body. That's why you can't eat this. Don't eat preservatives. Don't eat anything out of a box. Don't eat stuff out of a can. Don't drink soda.
Yeah.
Don't eat fast food. It's really not that hard. And move your body, right? Move your body.
Move.
And
yes.
You're gonna be good. And I have to say, this is like way out of the question, but I would have never guessed you to be 6'2".
Oh yeah. Yep. 6'2". Why? You've only seen me sit down before. Like, you've never seen me stand up.
I know, but when you see people, I mean, I would assume like 5'10".
Oh, no, yeah, 6'2".
Yeah, that's
This chair is it's meant for big people. It's meant for tall people. That's why it fits my body, because it's literally built for people my size, right? Everything is too small for me. Counters are too low for me to be able to bend. I bend down to cut vegetables on my counter.
Wow.
I have to bend down. My stepdad is 6'5".
Wow.
And they just got, my mom and my stepdad just got their kitchen remodeled, and they bumped up the counters by 2 inches from what's normal.
I bet.
It feels so good.
I bet.
I saw him before he had to spread his feet to because he's 70 something. Like, the guy's kind of he's up there, and he had to spread. He doesn't want to hunch. It hurts, right? And so he has to spread his feet to bend down. Like, he gets him a little lower, right? And there he goes, and you're like, it just looks so funny because the guy's tall and lanky, and he's standing there, legs wide and spread, chopping a vegetable. I'm like, so now he doesn't have to do that. Yeah.
When a couple of years ago, my bathroom upstairs, my master bathroom, flooded. And, bathroom counters are you have to, you lean over to brush your teeth or whatever, right? Wash your face. But I didn't like it. I didn't like the lower. And they were really expensive to replace. So I'll tell you what I did. I went and got kitchen cabinets, like the kitchen sink cabinets. And I put it in my bathroom. I put 2. And then I put a table, a makeup kind of table in between them. And then I moved the drawer down, and I put one of those flipping things, that you can move that cabinet in the kitchen where it flips out and goes back, I just glued it to the front of it, but the drawer, instead of being up here like a kitchen cabinet, I moved that little thing down underneath that back shelf, and I just slide my makeup in and out, slide my whatever I want out of both sides. I just have this drawer that slides. But the thing I like about it is that it's taller. The cabinets in my bathroom are taller, and I tiled it, and I actually did it myself, but I got rid of all my tools since then, so don't ask me to help you with yours. But I understand, and I'm only 5'5", and it's still bugged me to be. I know I'm not very tall, but I'm pretty powerful.
Oh yeah, you are.
I'm
Leslie.
almighty,
yes, you
right?
Are.
Look at me, I'm almighty.
Yeah.
But I hate those little cabinets. I couldn't stand it because I hate that leaning over, because you get that, I don't know.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
You can feel my pain.
I can feel your pain every day. Every day.
Patrick, it has been such a pleasure to have you here, and I know we're going to do this again. I know we are, because I just think you're so damn cute. And I hope you have such a wonderful time. And I hope that when you're there, you and your wife come back with a baby.
Oh, we'll see. we're looking at 3 to 5 years. That's what we're looking at. My wife is a little younger than me, and so she's got a little bit more time. But yeah, we're looking 3 to 5 years. That's what we're looking at.
Good. I think
that's when we'll.
I hope you have such a wonderful time. And you're going to be gone for a month,
Thank
right?
you. A month, September. Yeah.
That's incredible. Is that a nice time to go there? Or is that, I think that's like right before or right after the most popular season. Isn't that the right after that?
So the trees are going to be in full bloom then. It's going to, not full bloom, I guess, full transition. We'll get, so Luxembourg is I was in, on Vancouver Island a couple of years ago for a friend's birthday. And it is the most gorgeous, lush forests, deep, old growth forests, right? Beautiful. And I was there in September and it is the most, and it's at the same latitude as Luxembourg is. And so the forests are very similar. I cannot wait to experience Luxembourg during September because Vancouver Island was in full transition during that time. And I think Luxembourg is going to be right around that time too. Full transition.
I bet it's going to be really pretty. There's another island there, Orcas Island, right? In Orcas Island, that's right out of Washington.
Never heard of it.
Orcas Island. Maybe that's not it. I just know that there was an island over there or something that a friend of ours a long time ago bought some property on, and he built it over there. He said that he doesn't want to be in the land. He wants to just be, right? So he bought this property and went over there, and he's been loving it ever since. I don't know.
Love it.
But I think Washington has a lot of beautiful things. My niece lives there, and I've been there. I like their fish market. What's that fish market where they throw the fish?
I don't know.
Really? There's a fish market over in Washington where they throw fish. It's fresh fish like they catch when they throw them, when you buy them. But it was amazing. I'm gonna have to think of it next time we do our podcast. We'll talk about it. We're gonna do this again, right? This isn't our.
No, let's keep this conversation going for sure.
We're gonna have to keep going, but we need to end this one. And thank you so much and for sharing. I have your coupon code. People know where to get a hold of you. I'll have it all in the description. And truly, people that are watching this podcast, this is probably one of the most groundbreaking ways to learn music for, as we pointed out, so many different aspects of life. No matter what you're looking for the music to help you with, whether it's like me, recovering brain, emotional, and mental connections, right? Whether it's really learning a new skill or forming a habit or expanding your career. I mean, pretty soon there's going to be quite a few different instruments on this, and I know that Patrick's going to make this. This is a groundbreaking thing, and I think if you can get in on it right now with his 50% off for life coupon, you're going to be in really good shape because I don't think it's going to really last for a very long time. Final words, Patrick. Final words to people.
Be kind. Strive to be happy. I think that's that.
I think that's amazing. You're such a doll.
Thanks.
I hope you guys have such a great time, and I'll talk to you again very soon.
All right. I'm looking forward to it, Lesley. I'll see you later. All right.
Bye-bye. That was